Hey, hey, what do you say? This is Bobby Blitz from Overkill. That's right. We're on rspTV. You stay tuned.
Yeah, so when you first started this band, did you ever think you would come this far with it?
You know, I've always been a person, when I look back on my life, who lived with immediacy from day to day. So there was no forecast into this many years. And, you know, I'd met my partner Dee Dee in 1981. I think that's when your mom was born, right? I'm joking, of course. But I met him in 1981, and I don't think you can forecast 32 years of what we're going to do. So my feeling has been, or the way I've kind of lived with regard to this, was really take every opportunity that comes along. I mean, if I could put the most I can into a Monday, then I probably get another opportunity on a Tuesday. So I think the philosophy's worked really well for me.
Yeah. So when did you realize that you wanted to spend your life on a band?
You know, with regard to music, I have a musical mother who's cut a couple of records. So that's kind of cool. There was always singing around our house. There was always music. So early on, I was one of those kids that stood in front of a mirror with a broom, you know, pretending that, or a tennis racket, pretending it was a guitar. But when it came to spending a life in a band, I think that it accumulated into that there was never a definitive time I said, oh, now this is what I am. Because I still think that to some degree, regardless of the time we've spent here, it's much more important about being known for what you're doing as opposed to what you've done. I still want to be current in 2013. I still want to have energy and pop. Yeah. So that, you know, the idea, I think, is that I've never really decided I wanted to be in a band. It just so happened to be the road that I traveled down.
So did you play guitar, real guitar, when you were younger, or just?
Yeah, I was a bass player. Yeah, I know a little bit on the guitar. I can screw around on the piano. I played clarinet, was the first instrument. So there was always there was kind of a musical background, and with regard to understanding key and arrangement and a little bit of music reading.
Yeah. When did you know that you wanted to be a singer?
Well, it was funny. I went down to an audition. I was in university, and I went to an audition, and I thought I was auditioning as bass player. And they said that they already had somebody for bass, but this guy who invited me to the audition was a guitarist, and he had said to me prior to that, asked me if I sang, and I said, yeah, in the last band I sang 3 of the songs. Yeah. So it just so happened he threw me the mic and said, well, we don't need a bass player, but we need a singer, and that's how quickly as it was, I said, you know, this is going to be fun too.
Yeah. Yeah. So your latest record, The Electric Age, it have got some great reviews. Mm-hmm. What do you think made it so great?
Well, there's a good chemistry that we have right now between the 5 of us, and I think that that's always the most important thing. Is that, you know, I never complained about doing this, because this is kind of, when I think of what I could have been doing, this is actually a pretty easy life, and it's a lot of fun still. But the other guys in here feel that way too, so we don't have any complainers. I think that that's why it kind of works. I think one of the other things we're doing is that because of this chemistry, we've found kind of a new energy. And with that new energy, we're just exploiting it, taking advantage of it. One of the other keys for the last few records is that in the process of recording them, we're booking some shows. Mm-hmm. So there's a real live feel on the record. You know, you can't fake that feel. But if you just played a gig in Sao Paulo or Buenos Aires or Tokyo, and then you're back in the studio, you have a great short-term memory to recall of playing in a great live show.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the process of recording it, writing it, and stuff?
Well, it starts with my partner, Dee Dee. Yeah. He starts with the riffs. I mean, just it could be a simple idea of 4 notes or 8 notes. Yeah. From there, it develops into a song and an arrangement. I get kept updated with what's going on with that. It goes through the process of the other guys. Dee Dee may suggest the drums, but he's not going to tell the drummer how to play it. So as it goes through that whole process, I'm the one who finishes it. It's, you know, if you thought of it as a house, I'm the one who puts the roof on with the lyrics and the melodies. Yeah. With regard to recording, he owns his own studio. Mm-hmm. So this is a great luxury for us, and that luxury is a time luxury. So we can record when ideas are hot, and we can stop when they're not. So I think that that's one of the reasons too that we're getting that energy, that chemistry, and having it translate from idea all the way through, out and back into the ears.
Yeah. And you're from New Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's famous because of all the musicians from there. How have the musical life in New Jersey affected you through the years?
Well, New Jersey was the blue collar attachment to New York City.
Yeah.
New York City was a great financial center and business center, and New Jersey had all of the workers. And I think when there's a blue collar work ethic, that's what New Jersey musicians are known for. Whether it be someone like Springsteen or Bon Jovi, sure, they've exploded into huge superstars, but the idea is that their work ethic is very New Jersey based, and that it's really work boots and Levi's. And I think with that kind of a mentality. And I actually grew up in New York and then moved to New Jersey later on in life. With that kind of a work ethic, I think that you succeed the thought is you succeed by what you put into it. You get out of it what you put into it. It's to some degree less artistic, more workmanlike. But I think that that's probably the best characteristic of New Jersey scene.
Yeah, and I read that 11 years back you had a stroke.
Yes, 2002, yeah.
Yeah. How did that affected your normal life?
I didn't. It was called a TIA. It's a very mild stroke. I'm predisposed to them. My mother gets them. She still does. I mean, she's in her 80s, and she could have one. She hasn't had one in probably 15 years, but it just so happened. Nobody'd know about this except it happened at a show. So that's why it was kind of weird. And it was the situation was I really thought. We were killing this place, and it was sold out. It was a German show, and the lights went out, and I thought it was power failure because there was no pain or anything. Just was like, I said to myself, oh shit, power failure.
Yeah.
But I kept hearing the music, and then the lights came up really slow, and then the music went away. So I knew something was wrong right then. But affecting me afterwards, it didn't. It was about a month's worth of recovery. There was no paralysis. Especially with these type of strokes, it's really just lights on, lights off, just really quick. So it's and I've never had a recurrence, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I've heard that you're kind of critical to the Obama administration. Is that something?
I was for one interview I got into this, but I'm not necessarily a politically critical person. I usually keep those opinions to myself. But I was doing an interview in the States, and a guy was pushing me on it, and I believe that there was time for change in the U.S. And I can tell you just the simplistic view of it. The American democratic government is a bigger government.
Yeah.
And with a bigger government, there are more taxes to be paid, which benefits to a very large degree those who are working for other people. A person like myself has worked for himself his whole life, so I like smaller government. So I don't have to pay as many taxes. No. So that's really was the basis of it. It wasn't a dislike for him. And I've said in interviews since that I think he's one of the greatest speakers I've seen as president. He's engaging. He's a person that he emulates trust and good feelings. Does he always get it done? No, of course not. Yep. But that's the nature of politics. But I'm not a hater of Obama or been hugely critical. The basis I just gave you about the simplification of between Democrats and Republicans was based on that.
Yeah. So you think the government do their work better today than back when you said that in that interview?
Well, no, I think his ideas are quite good. I think that one of the problems with American government, and I can only say that from my own experience, is that we get in each other's way.
Yeah.
And a great idea can be stopped just based on political affiliation, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. The Democrats, if the Republicans have more votes, they can stop that great idea, and vice versa. Do I think it's better? Probably yes, with regard to the current day as opposed to his first term. But do I think we're in a great place? We're still not.
No. And this band, how long do you think it's gonna play together?
Well,
from
you,
now?
you know, as we talked earlier in the interview, like I'm really more of a day-to-day person,
Yeah.
so I don't try to forecast that. You know, if you know, people think that you have to get somewhere. Once you get there, it's over. It's really more about getting to it.
Yeah.
So it's you know, the idea is, I think that if you can make the joy in the journey, and whether it be small steps or big steps, that's really the way I'd rather look at it. And I can't look at it any other way. If I start bending and twisting those philosophies, I'll stop enjoying it, because I'll start questioning myself.
Yeah. And what future plans do you have from now?
Well, we kind of work on a clock. You know, let's say, you know, 12 o'clock is the starting of writing. So it's 12 o'clock right now. We're touring, and there's 6 songs done. What we're going to do in the interim is we're going to come over while recording and do European festivals.
Yeah.
After that, we do a U.S. tour with a German band called Creator.
Yeah.
It's going to be a flip-flop headline. We'll close the shows on the East Coast in those theaters, and they'll close on the West Coast in theaters, our big clubs. After that, we drop the record in March. It hits the street. They even gave me the date as March 7th, you know, already. So we're that far planned ahead for those type of activities.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm sure that what we're going to do is just start rolling these tours again.
Yeah.
And I think as we've gotten older, one of the things that we like is that we actually do more tours, but we do less touring. We're not away from home for 3 months or for, you know, or for 60 days. We're away from home for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks is a great tour for a guy my age, because then you don't have to recover for a month when you come home.
Yeah, that was all.